The black nurse from Atlanta stood in the marble mansion of her white tech billionaire father-in-law, holding documents that would destroy his empire forever. But 6 months ago, she was crying over a prenup that made her feel worthless. What changed? She discovered her missing mother wasn't dead. She was richer than all of them combined, and her father-in-law's worst nightmare had just walked back into his life. Have you ever been underestimated because of your race or background? Has someone ever made you sign something that crushed your dignity? Drop a gemstone if you felt powerless in a room full of power. Today's story will shock you, inspire you, and remind you that your bloodline might hold secrets that could change everything. But first, smash that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories. Trust me, you won't see this twist coming. Let's dive in. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. Meet Maya Johnson, a 28-year-old registered nurse from Atlanta, Georgia. She worked double shifts at Grady Hospital, saving lives while barely saving enough to cover her student loans. Maya grew up with her grandmother after her mother vanished when she was just 8 years old. No explanation, no goodbye, just an empty bedroom and a broken family. Everything changed when Maya met Ryan Mitchell at a medical conference in Austin, Texas. Ryan was everything Maya thought she'd never have. A successful white tech entrepreneur worth millions, with kind eyes and a laugh that made her forget her troubles. Their love story felt like a fairy tale. Ryan didn't care about Maya's background, her debt, or the fact that she drove a beat-up Honda while he owned 3 luxury cars. But fairy tales have villains. 2 weeks before their wedding, Ryan's father, Thomas Mitchell, invited Maya to the family estate in Austin. Thomas was old money mixed with new tech investments. The kind of man who measured people by their bank accounts and judged them by their zip codes. The moment Maya walked into that mansion, she felt the temperature drop. "We need to discuss some business," Thomas said, sliding a thick document across his mahogany desk. "It's just a prenup. Standard procedure." Maya's hands trembled as she read page after page of humiliating clauses. If the marriage ended, she'd get nothing. She couldn't touch Ryan's assets, couldn't claim any part of his business, couldn't even keep gifts worth more than $1,000. The worst part? Thomas made her read it out loud in front of Ryan's entire family during their rehearsal dinner. "I'm not a gold digger," Maya whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Then you won't mind signing," Thomas replied coldly. Ryan sat silent. His mother, Catherine, stared at her wine glass. His sister, Jessica, scrolled through her phone. Maya was alone in a room full of people who had already decided she didn't belong. She signed it, not because she wanted Ryan's money, but because she loved him and couldn't imagine life without him. That night, Maya cried herself to sleep, feeling smaller than she'd ever felt in her entire life. Have you ever felt like an outsider in your own love story? Have you been forced to prove your worth to people who should have welcomed you? Drop a broken heart if you've experienced this kind of humiliation. And if you're loving this story so far, hit that like button. Maya's about to discover something that will change everything. But Thomas Mitchell had no idea what he'd just done. He'd humiliated the daughter of the one woman who could destroy him. 3 months after the wedding, Maya tried to build a life with Ryan in Austin, but the prenup haunted her daily. Every expensive dinner, every designer gift, every luxury vacation felt like charity. She was living in a beautiful prison, married to a man whose family saw her as a temporary inconvenience. Then Maya's grandmother died. Grandma Rose had been Maya's anchor, the woman who raised her after her mother disappeared. At the funeral in Atlanta, Maya inherited Rose's modest house and a storage unit she'd never heard of. The storage unit key came with a note. For Maya, when she's ready to know the truth about her mother. Maya drove to the storage facility with her cousin Keisha, expecting to find old furniture and family photos. Instead, she found boxes of documents, letters, and newspaper clippings dating back 30 years. The first box made her heart stop. Inside were legal papers with her mother's name. Not the Sarah Johnson she remembered, but Dr. Sarah Chin Williams, CEO of Williams Tech Ventures. Maya's hand shook as she opened letter after letter. Her mother wasn't dead. She was alive, living in Silicon Valley, running a billion-dollar tech investment firm. "Girl, what is this?" Keisha whispered, holding up a Fortune magazine from 2019. There, on the cover, was Maya's mother. Older, sophisticated, worth $3.2 billion. But the real shock came in the next box. Love letters, dozens of them, written in the 1990s between her mother and someone named T.M. Thomas Mitchell. Maya's father-in-law had been in love with her mother 30 years ago. The letters revealed everything. Thomas had proposed to Sarah, but his racist parents threatened to cut him off completely if he married a black woman. Sarah was pregnant with Maya at the time, but Thomas chose his inheritance over his family. "I can't lose everything for you, Sarah," one letter read. "My father will disown me, but I'll always love you." Sarah's response was brutal. "You're a coward, Thomas. You'll never see me or our child again." Maya dropped the letter, her world crashing down. Thomas Mitchell wasn't just her father-in-law. He was her biological father. The prenup wasn't about protecting Ryan. It was about Thomas protecting himself from the daughter he'd abandoned 30 years ago. The daughter who'd just married his son, making her Ryan's wife and his stepdaughter at the same time. Maya's phone rang. It was Ryan. "Babe, where are you? Dad wants to have dinner tonight." Maya stared at the letters scattered around her feet. Her husband was her half-brother. Her father-in-law was her biological father. And her mother, the woman she'd thought was dead, was one of the most powerful people in Silicon Valley. "I'll be there," Maya said quietly. But first, she had a phone call to make. Drop a exploding head if this twist just blew your mind. And if you're wondering what happens when Maya confronts Thomas, make sure you're subscribed because this story is about to get explosive. Maya's hands trembled as she dialed a number from her mother's business card. Williams Tech Ventures. After 3 decades of silence, what do you say to the woman who vanished from your life? Williams Tech, this is Dr. Sarah Chin Williams. Maya's breath caught. Her mother's voice was different. Stronger, more confident, but unmistakably familiar. "Mom," Maya whispered. Silence, then a sharp intake of breath. "Maya? My God, Maya, is that really you?" "What?" Maya's voice cracked. "Why did you leave me? Why did you let me think you were dead?" "Because I was protecting you," Sarah said, her voice breaking. "From him, from Thomas, from a world that would have destroyed you just like it tried to destroy me." 20 minutes later, Maya was on a video call with the mother she'd mourned for 20 years. Sarah looked exactly like an older version of Maya. Same eyes, same determined chin, same fierce intelligence. But now she wore power suits instead of the simple dresses Maya remembered. "I built this company from nothing," Sarah explained. "After Thomas chose his racist family over us, I knew I had to become untouchable. I couldn't let him use his money and connections to take you away from me legally. So I disappeared, made everyone think I was dead, and built an empire. But you left me with Grandma Rose. Rose was my partner in this. She raised you while I built a fortune that would eventually protect you. Every scholarship you got, every break you caught, that was me working behind the scenes. I've been watching over you your entire life." Maya's head was spinning. "Do you know what happened? Do you know who I married?" Sarah's face hardened. "I know you married Ryan Mitchell. I know Thomas humiliated you with that prenup. And I know he has no idea that his worst nightmare just became his daughter-in-law." "What do you mean?" "Maya, I own 40% of Mitchell Tech Industries. I've been slowly buying up shares for 30 years, waiting for the right moment to destroy the man who destroyed our family. Thomas thinks he's untouchable, but I control his company's future." Maya felt the power shift. The woman who'd signed the humiliating prenup was gone. In her place was someone new. Someone with the backing of a tech billionaire who'd spent 3 decades planning revenge. "There's more," Sarah continued. "I've been investigating Thomas's business practices. Tax evasion, discriminatory hiring, government contract fraud. I have enough evidence to put him in prison for 20 years. What do you want me to do?" "Nothing yet. Let him think he's won. But Maya, when you're ready to take back your power, I'll be here. We'll destroy him together." Maya hung up the phone, staring at her reflection in the storage unit's dusty mirror. The scared girl who'd signed that prenup was gone. The woman looking back at her was about to become Thomas Mitchell's worst nightmare. Hit that like button if you're ready to see Maya get her revenge. And drop a fire if you think Thomas deserves what's coming to him. That evening, Maya sat at Thomas Mitchell's dining table, watching him cut his steak with the same hands that had signed those love letters to her mother. Ryan chatted about his latest project, completely unaware that his wife was planning to destroy his father. "Maya, you've been quiet tonight," Catherine Mitchell said, sipping her wine. "Everything all right?" Maya smiled sweetly, just thinking about family. How important it is to know where you come from. Thomas's fork paused halfway to his mouth. Something in Maya's tone made him look up. "Speaking of family," Maya continued, "I've been going through my grandmother's things. Found some interesting documents about my mother. Turns out she didn't die like I thought." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Thomas's face went pale. "Your mother?" Ryan asked, confused. "I thought she died when you were a kid." "So did I. But apparently, she's been alive this whole time, living in California, running a very successful business." Maya locked eyes with Thomas. "Williams Tech Ventures. Maybe you've heard of it." Thomas's wine glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the marble floor. Catherine gasped. Ryan looked between his father and his wife, completely lost. "Dad, what's wrong?" Ryan asked. "Nothing," Thomas said quickly, but his voice was shaking. "Just surprised, that's all." Maya leaned forward. "You know what's really interesting? I found some old letters in my grandmother's storage unit. Love letters, actually, from the 1990s. Between my mother and someone with the initials TM. Thomas stood up so fast his chair fell backward. "I need some air." "Sit down, Thomas," Maya said calmly. "We're not done talking. Who do you think you are?" Thomas snapped. "You're in my house, eating my food. I'm your daughter." The words hung in the air like a bomb. Catherine dropped her napkin. Ryan's mouth fell open. Jessica, who'd been scrolling through her phone, finally looked up. "What did you say?" Ryan whispered. "Your father was in love with my mother 30 years ago. She was pregnant with me. He chose his inheritance over his family. Over me." Maya's voice was steady, but her eyes were blazing. "That prenup you made me sign? You weren't protecting your son. You were protecting yourself from the daughter you abandoned." Thomas's face was red with rage. "You can't prove anything." Maya pulled out her phone and showed him a photo of the letters. "Want to bet?" "This is insane," Ryan said, standing up. "Maya, this can't be true." "It's true, Ryan. Your father is my biological father." "Which means..." Maya paused, letting the reality sink in. "We're brother and sister." Catherine fainted. Jessica screamed. Ryan stumbled backward like he'd been shot. But Maya? Maya just sat there, watching Thomas Mitchell's perfect world crumble around him. "Now," she said quietly, "let's talk about that prenup. Drop a bomb if this revelation just destroyed you. And if you want to see what happens next, make sure you're subscribed because Maya's just getting started." Ryan couldn't sleep. He'd been pacing his home office for hours, trying to process what Maya had revealed. His wife was his half-sister. His father had abandoned a pregnant woman. His entire family was built on lies. Maya found him at 3 a.m., staring out the window at the Austin skyline. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. "Am I okay?" Ryan laughed bitterly. "My wife is my sister. My father is a liar. My marriage is illegal. Nothing about this is okay. Ryan, I need you to listen to me." Maya sat beside him. "I didn't know about any of this when I married you. I thought I was an orphan. I thought my mother was dead. I was just as shocked as you are. But now you know, and now I know. So what do we do?" Maya took his hand. "We get an annulment. Quietly. No scandal, no media attention. We were both victims of Thomas's lies. And then what? You disappear? You go back to Atlanta and pretend none of this happened." "No," Maya said firmly. "Then we make him pay for what he did to both of us." Ryan looked at her, confused. "What do you mean? Your father destroyed my family. He abandoned me before I was born. He humiliated me with that prenup. He's been lying to you your entire life about who he really is." Maya's voice hardened. "And according to my mother, he's been breaking the law for years." "Your mother? You talked to her. She's been watching from the shadows for 30 years, building a case against Thomas." She has evidence of tax fraud, discrimination, government contract violations. Enough to destroy him completely. Ryan was quiet for a long moment. He's still my father, Maya. And he's mine too. But that doesn't mean he gets to escape consequences for his actions. What are you asking me to do? Maya pulled out a folder thick with documents. Help me access his files. Help me find the evidence my mother needs to bring him down. Help me make sure he never hurts another family the way he hurt ours. Ryan stared at the folder. If I do this, I'm betraying my own father. No, Maya said quietly. You're choosing truth over lies. You're choosing justice over protecting a man who's been lying to you your entire life. And what about us? What about our marriage? We'll always be family, Ryan. Not the way we thought, but family nonetheless. We'll get through this together, as siblings should. Ryan was quiet for a long time. Then he reached for the folder. What do you need me to do? Maya smiled for the first time in days. Help me become the daughter Thomas Mitchell should have been proud of. Help me show him what he gave up when he chose money over family. All right, Ryan said, opening the folder. Let's take down dear old dad. Drop a handshake if you're here for this brother-sister alliance. And smash that subscribe button because Maya and Ryan are about to expose secrets that will rock the tech world. Ryan's hand shook as he typed his father's password into the company server. Growing up, Thomas had always used the same password for everything. Catherine 1985, his wife's name and the year they married. The man who'd abandoned Maya for money was sentimental about the woman he'd settled for. I can't believe I'm doing this, Ryan whispered as files began downloading to Maya's encrypted drive. You're doing the right thing, Maya said, watching the progress bar inch forward. These files will expose 30 years of corruption. The documents were devastating. Tax records showing millions hidden in offshore accounts. Email chains discussing how to avoid hiring black employees. Government contracts awarded through bribes. Thomas Mitchell hadn't just abandoned his daughter. He'd been stealing from taxpayers for decades. Oh my God, Ryan breathed, opening a file labeled Insurance Claims 2020. He's been filing false insurance claims on company equipment. This is fraud. Maya's phone buzzed. A text from her mother. How's the fishing trip going? Catch anything big? Huge, Maya typed back. The whole lake is contaminated. But then footsteps echoed in the hallway. Thomas was coming back to his office. He's coming, Maya hissed. How much more do you need? 2 more minutes, Ryan said, frantically copying files. The doorknob turned. Thomas walked in to find his son and daughter-in-law standing behind his desk, a laptop connected to his computer. What the hell is going on here? Thomas roared. Dad, I can explain, Ryan started. Explain what? That you're stealing from me? That you're helping this girl destroy our family? This girl, Maya stepped forward. I'm your daughter, Thomas. And I'm not stealing, I'm collecting evidence. Evidence of what? Tax evasion, discrimination, fraud. Should I keep going? Maya held up a printed email. This is you telling your HR director to find reasons not to hire qualified black candidates. That's a federal crime. Thomas's face turned purple. You have no idea what you're dealing with. I know exactly what I'm dealing with, Maya said calmly. A racist coward who abandoned his pregnant girlfriend 30 years ago and has been breaking the law ever since. Get out, Thomas whispered. Both of you, get out of my house. Gladly, Maya said, pocketing the USB drive. But Thomas, this is just the beginning. You humiliated me with that prenup. You made me feel worthless. Now you're going to learn what worthless really feels like. As they walked out, Maya heard Thomas screaming at a security team, but it was too late. The evidence was already in her mother's hands. Drop a laptop computer if you're loving this digital takedown. And hit that like button if you think Thomas deserves everything that's coming to him. Maya stood in the marble lobby of Williams Tech Ventures, finally face to face with the mother she'd thought was dead. Sarah Chin Williams was even more impressive in person. Sharp suit, confident stride, and eyes that missed nothing. You look exactly like I did at your age, Sarah said, pulling Maya into a hug that felt 30 years overdue. I can't believe you're real, Maya whispered. I'm real, and I'm furious. Sarah led Maya to her corner office overlooking San Francisco Bay. Thomas Mitchell thinks he can humiliate my daughter and get away with it. He's about to learn otherwise. On Sarah's desk were copies of all the files Maya and Ryan had downloaded, plus dozens more that Sarah had been collecting for years. I've been preparing for this moment since the day I left Atlanta, Sarah explained. I knew eventually Thomas would slip up, and when he did, I'd be ready. What's the plan? First, we're going to destroy his reputation. Then we're going to destroy his business. Then we're going to destroy his freedom. Sarah opened a thick folder. I've hired the best lawyers in the country. Former federal prosecutors, civil rights attorneys, tax specialists. They're all working pro bono because they want to see Thomas burn as much as we do. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. Mom, I want justice, but I don't want to become like him. We're not becoming like him, baby. We're becoming better than him. Thomas used his power to hurt people. We're using our power to protect people. Sarah pulled out another folder. Do you know how many qualified black employees he's refused to hire over the years? How many minority-owned businesses he's crushed? How many taxpayer dollars he's stolen? The numbers were staggering. Hundreds of people had been hurt by Thomas's discrimination and fraud. But here's the beautiful part, Sarah continued. Texas has a whistleblower protection law. Ryan is protected from retaliation for exposing his father's crimes. And as Thomas's biological daughter, you have legal standing to sue for paternity fraud. Paternity fraud? Thomas knew you were his daughter when you married Ryan. He could have stopped the marriage, but he didn't. He let you unknowingly marry your half-brother because he was more concerned with protecting his reputation than protecting his children. Maya's hands clenched into fists. That's sick. It's also illegal. Fraud, conspiracy, endangerment of minors. We can hit him with everything. What about Ryan? I don't want him to get hurt in all this. Ryan will be fine. In fact, he'll be better than fine. Once Thomas is out of the picture, Ryan will inherit a clean company. We'll make sure of that. Sarah walked to the window, looking out at the city she'd conquered. Thomas thought he could throw you away like garbage. Instead, he threw away the daughter who's going to destroy him. When do we start? We already have. The FBI will be knocking on Thomas's door in 48 hours. Drop a balance scale if you're ready for this legal battle. And make sure you're subscribed because the FBI raid is going to be epic. 2 days later, Maya was having coffee with Ryan in downtown Austin when his phone exploded with notifications. Text after text, call after call, all from family members and business associates. Maya, something's wrong, Ryan said, his face pale as he read the messages. The FBI is at my dad's house. They're the company too. Maya's heart raced, but she kept her voice steady. What do you mean? Federal agents. Search warrants. They're taking everything, computers, files, financial records. Ryan's hands are shaking. This is about what we found, isn't it? Probably, Maya said quietly. Ryan stared at her. You knew this was happening. I knew it was coming. I didn't know when. Why didn't you tell me? Because I needed to protect you. The less you knew about the timing, the better your legal position. Maya reached across the table and took his hand. Ryan, you're not in trouble. You're a whistleblower. You're protected. Ryan's phone rang. It was his mother, crying hysterically. They took your father in handcuffs, Catherine sobbed. In front of the neighbors, in front of everyone. The agents said something about tax fraud and discrimination. What's happening, Ryan? I don't know, Mom. Where are you now? At the house. But they won't let me inside. They said it's a crime scene. Maya watched Ryan's face crumble. Despite everything Thomas had done, he was still Ryan's father. I'm sorry, Maya said after he hung up. I know this is hard. Is it wrong that part of me is relieved? Ryan asked. He's been lying to me my entire life. About you, about business, about everything. It's not wrong. It's human. Ryan's phone buzzed with a news alert. Mitchell Tech Industries CEO arrested in federal fraud investigation. The story was already trending on social media. This is going to be everywhere, Ryan said. Good, Maya replied. Let everyone see what kind of man Thomas Mitchell really is. That evening, Maya watched the news coverage from her hotel room. FBI agents carrying boxes out of Mitchell Tech headquarters. Thomas in handcuffs, his face red with rage and humiliation. federal prosecutors announcing charges of tax evasion, wire fraud, and civil rights violations. This is the beginning of justice for dozens of victims, the prosecutor said during a press conference. Mr. Mitchell used his position of power to discriminate against minorities and steal from taxpayers. We will hold him accountable. Maya's phone rang. It was her mother. How do you feel? Sarah asked. Powerful, Maya said. For the first time in my life, I feel truly powerful. Good, because tomorrow we file the civil lawsuit. We're going to take everything he has left. Everything. The house, the cars, the investments, the company. When we're done, Thomas Mitchell will understand what it feels like to have nothing. Maya smiled, remembering the humiliation of signing that prenup. Perfect. Drop a oncoming police car if you're here for this FBI takedown. And smash that like button if you think Thomas got exactly what he deserved. The next morning brought chaos to the Mitchell family. Catherine had locked herself in her bedroom, refusing to eat or speak to anyone. Jessica was fielding calls from reporters and trying to control the social media damage. And Ryan? Ryan was sitting in a lawyer's office, trying to figure out how to save the family business. The company is finished, Ryan's attorney explained. With your father facing federal charges, the board wants him out immediately. But there's a bigger problem. The government is freezing assets. What does that mean? Ryan asked. It means your family's wealth is tied up in legal proceedings. The house, the cars, the investments, everything is locked down until the criminal case is resolved. Maya knocked on the conference room door. Can I come in? Ryan nodded, and Maya entered with her own lawyer, a sharp woman named Elena Rodriguez who specialized in civil rights cases. Ryan, we need to talk about the company, Maya said. I have an offer. What kind of offer? Elena opened her briefcase. My client is prepared to purchase Mitchell Tech Industries through her mother's investment firm. Full market value. All employees keep their jobs, and you remain as CEO. Ryan's lawyer nearly choked on his coffee. Your client can't afford to buy $1 billion company. Williams Tech Ventures has more than enough capital, Elena replied smoothly. And we're prepared to move quickly. Why would you do this? Ryan asked Maya. Because despite everything, you're still my brother. And because the company has good people who don't deserve to lose their jobs because of Thomas's crimes. There are conditions, Elena continued. Thomas Mitchell must resign immediately and surrender all ownership rights. The company name changes to Mitchell Williams Tech, and we implement a comprehensive diversity and inclusion program. And if I say no, then the company goes bankrupt, hundreds of people lose their jobs, and Thomas loses everything anyway. This way, at least the employees are protected. Ryan was quiet for a long moment. My mother will hate this. Taking money from you, changing the company name, it'll feel like betrayal. Your mother will hate being broke even more, Maya said gently. This offer includes a generous settlement for your family. Enough to maintain your lifestyle while Thomas fights his legal battles. What about Jessica? She keeps her trust fund. She keeps her car. She keeps her lifestyle. But she also keeps her mouth shut about our family business. Ryan looked at his lawyer, who nodded. It's a fair offer, Ryan. Probably the best you're going to get. Okay, Ryan said finally. Let's do it. Maya smiled. Welcome to the family business, brother. Drop a briefcase if you're loving this corporate takeover. And hit that subscribe button because Maya's about to face her biggest challenge yet. 6 months later, Maya sat in federal court watching Thomas Mitchell's criminal trial. The man who'd once made her feel worthless now looked small and desperate in his orange jumpsuit. His high-powered lawyers couldn't hide the mountain of evidence against him. The defendant used his position of power to systematically discriminate against minorities, the prosecutor said during opening statements. He defrauded the government of millions of dollars, and he put his own children at risk to protect his reputation. Maya testified on the third day. As she walked to the witness stand, Thomas's eyes burned with hatred. State your name for the record, the prosecutor said. Maya Williams Mitchell. How are you related to the defendant? Maya looked directly at Thomas. He's my biological father. The courtroom erupted. Reporters scribbled notes. The judge called for order. Did you know this when you married Ryan Mitchell? No, I discovered it after the marriage, when I found love letters between my mother and the defendant from 30 years ago. What did you do with this information? I confronted him. He denied it first, but the DNA test confirmed it. Thomas Mitchell is my father, and he knew it when he watched me marry his son. The defense attorney objected, but the damage was done. The jury looked horrified. Your Honor, Maya continued, this man didn't just defraud the government. He defrauded his own family. He let me marry my half-brother because he was more concerned with protecting his reputation than protecting his children. Thomas's lawyer tried to paint Maya as a gold digger seeking revenge, but the evidence was overwhelming. Financial records, discriminatory emails, fraudulent insurance claims. Years of criminal behavior laid bare. The most damaging testimony came from former employees who'd been illegally fired for reporting Thomas's discrimination. Black engineers who'd been passed over for promotion. Hispanic contractors who'd been cheated out of payments. A pattern of abuse spanning decades. Thomas Mitchell thought he was untouchable, the prosecutor said during closing arguments. He thought his wealth and connections made him above the law. He was wrong. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. When they returned, Thomas was found guilty on all counts: tax evasion, wire fraud, civil rights violations, and conspiracy. Mr. Mitchell, the judge said during sentencing, you have abused your position of power to harm dozens of innocent people. You have stolen from taxpayers and discriminated against minorities. Most disgracefully, you have put your own children at risk to protect your reputation. 25 years in federal prison. Catherine Mitchell collapsed in the gallery. Jessica screamed, but Maya just sat there, feeling the weight of 30 years of injustice finally lifting from her shoulders. As Thomas was led away in shackles, he turned to look at Maya one last time. The daughter he'd abandoned was now the woman who destroyed him. Justice served, Maya whispered. Drop a balance scale if you believe in karma, and smash that like button if you think Maya got the justice she deserved. 3 weeks after Thomas's sentencing, Maya received an unexpected call from Catherine Mitchell's lawyer. The woman who'd once treated her like a gold digger now needed her help. Mrs. Mitchell would like to meet with you, the lawyer said. She has a proposition. Maya found Catherine in the same mansion where she'd been humiliated by that prenup. But now, the house felt different. Empty, cold, stripped of the arrogance that had once filled these rooms. I hate you, Catherine said the moment Maya walked in. I hate what you've done to my family. I didn't do anything to your family, Maya replied calmly. Your husband did that all by himself. He's facing 25 years in prison because of you. He's facing 25 years because he's a criminal who got caught. Maya sat down across from Catherine. But I didn't come here to argue. Your lawyer said you had a proposition. Catherine's hands shook as she poured herself a glass of wine. The government is seizing everything. The house, the cars, the art collection. They're saying it's all proceeds from criminal activity. And I need money to fight this. Legal fees, living expenses, everything. Catherine's voice broke. I'm asking you to help me. Maya stared at her. You want me to give you money? After the way you treated me. You own my husband's company now. You have billions through your mother. You can afford to help your stepmother. I'm not your stepmother, Catherine. I'm your husband's abandoned daughter. There's a difference. Please, Catherine whispered. I have nothing left. Jessica's trust fund is frozen. The house will be gone next month. I'll be homeless. Maya felt something she didn't expect, pity. This woman had been complicit in Thomas's lies, but she'd also been betrayed by him. Catherine had spent 30 years married to a man who'd been secretly obsessed with another woman. I'll make you a deal, Maya said. I'll buy this house from the government auction. You can live here rent-free for the rest of your life. But there are conditions. What conditions? You publicly apologize for the way you treated me. You acknowledge that the prenup was designed to humiliate me, and you never contact Thomas again. Catherine's face crumpled. You want me to humiliate myself on television? I want you to tell the truth. The same truth your husband should have told 30 years ago. And if I refuse, then you figure out your own housing situation. Catherine was quiet for a long time. Finally, she nodded. When do you want to do this? Tomorrow. I've already arranged for a news crew to be here at noon. You planned this. I planned for every possibility, Catherine. That's what powerful women do. Maya stood up. We prepare for every outcome, and we always have a backup plan. The next day, Catherine Mitchell sat in her living room and told the world how she'd helped her husband humiliate an innocent woman. She apologized to Maya, to the employees Thomas had discriminated against, and to the taxpayers he'd stolen from. I was wrong, Catherine said, tears streaming down her face. I was complicit in my husband's crimes, and I'm sorry. Drop a television if you're here for this public apology. And hit that subscribe button because Maya's about to make her biggest move yet. 1 year after Thomas's conviction, Maya stood at the podium of the Austin Convention Center, addressing a crowd of 500 business leaders, civil rights activists, journalists. She was launching the Williams Mitchell Foundation, a billion-dollar initiative to fight workplace discrimination and support abandoned families. My story began with humiliation, Maya said, her voice strong and clear. A prenup designed to make me feel worthless. A father who chose money over his own daughter. A system that protected wealth while ignoring justice. In the audience, Ryan sat with his wife, a brilliant black attorney named Jasmine who'd helped with the foundation's legal structure. Catherine Mitchell sat in the back row, quietly wiping away tears. But humiliation doesn't have to be the end of your story, Maya continued. It can be the beginning of your power. The foundation's mission was simple but revolutionary. Provide legal support for discrimination victims, offer interest-free loans to minority-owned businesses, and create scholarship programs for children from broken families. We're not just fighting individual cases, Maya explained. We're changing the system that allows discrimination to flourish. We're making sure that what happened to me never happens to anyone else. The crowd erupted in applause, but Maya wasn't finished. I want to tell you about someone special, she said, gesturing to the wings. Someone who taught me that sometimes the best revenge is massive success. Sarah Chin Williams walked onto the stage, mother and daughter embracing for the first time in public. The crowd rose to their feet. 30 years ago, I was a pregnant black woman abandoned by a white man who chose his inheritance over his family, Sarah said. I could have been bitter. I could have been angry. Instead, I built an empire. Today, that empire is worth $8 billion. And every penny of it will be used to make sure that young women like Maya never have to choose between love and dignity. The Foundation's first major initiative was a legal defense fund that had already helped 200 discrimination victims. The second was a business incubator that provided resources for minority entrepreneurs. The third was a scholarship program that covered full tuition for children from single-parent homes. Money isn't power, Maya said as she concluded her speech. Justice is power. Truth is power. And today, we're giving that power to everyone who's been told they don't deserve it. As the crowd cheered, Maya caught sight of a familiar face in the audience. It was Dr. Rodriguez, the emergency room physician who'd hired her as a young nurse. He was smiling and holding up a sign that read, "From our hospital to your empire, we're proud of you." Maya smiled back, remembering the scared young woman who'd once thought she'd never amount to anything. Drop a trophy if you're inspired by Maya's transformation. And make sure you're subscribed because this final chapter will leave you speechless. 2 years after his conviction, Maya decided to visit Thomas in federal prison. She'd never planned to see him again, but her therapist suggested it might bring closure. The federal penitentiary in East Texas was a far cry from the marble mansion where Thomas had once ruled his empire. Maya sat across from him in the visitor's room, separated by bulletproof glass. Thomas looked older, grayer, broken. Prison had stripped away his arrogance and left behind a shell of the man who'd once tried to destroy her. "Why are you here?" he asked through the phone. "I honestly don't know," Maya admitted. "Maybe to see if I feel sorry for you." "Do you?" "A little. Not for your situation. You earned that. But for what you threw away. You could have had a daughter who loved you. You could have had a relationship with Ryan that wasn't built on lies." Thomas was quiet for a long moment. "I was scared." "Of what?" "Of my father. Of losing everything I'd worked for. Of being disowned." He looked at Maya through the glass. "I was a coward." "Yes, you were. Your mother was the love of my life. When I chose money over her, I chose wrong. I've regretted it every day for 30 years. But you still tried to humiliate me, even after you knew who I was. Because seeing you reminded me of what I'd lost. You looked exactly like Sarah when she was your age. Smart, fierce, beautiful. Everything I'd given up. Maya leaned forward. Do you know what I've built since you've been gone? I heard about the foundation, about the company. Ryan tells me you're worth more than I ever was. I'm worth more than you ever dreamed of being. And I did it without abandoning my family, without discriminating against people, without breaking the law. Thomas's eyes filled with tears. I'm proud of you. I don't need your pride. I never did. I know, but I wanted you to know anyway. Maya stood up. I won't be coming back here. I know. And Thomas, when you get out in 20 years, don't contact me. Don't contact Ryan. Don't contact my mother. You made your choice 30 years ago. Live with it. As Maya walked out of the prison, she felt something she hadn't expected. Peace. Not forgiveness, but peace. She'd said what she needed to say, and now she could move forward without looking back. The scared little girl who'd wondered why her mother left was gone. The humiliated woman who'd signed that prenup was gone. In their place was someone new, someone powerful, someone complete. Drop a dove if you believe in the power of closure. And hit that like button if you think Maya handled this perfectly. 3 years after her annulment from Ryan, Maya stood in her mother's garden in Napa Valley, wearing a stunning white dress that cost more than most people's cars. But money wasn't what made this day special. It was the man waiting for her at the altar. Dr. Marcus Washington was everything Thomas Mitchell wasn't. Kind, honest, brilliant, and completely secure in his own success. He was the chief of surgery at UCSF, a man who'd built his reputation on saving lives rather than destroying them. You look beautiful, Sarah whispered, adjusting Maya's veil. I feel beautiful, Maya replied. For the first time in my life, I feel worthy of love. The wedding was small, but perfect. No prenups, no humiliating family meetings, no questions about Maya's worth. Marcus's family had welcomed her with open arms, and his mother had spent the morning telling Maya how proud she was to call her daughter. Ryan walked Maya down the aisle, having earned the right to give his sister away. His wife Jasmine served as Maya's maid of honor, and their 6-month-old daughter, named Sarah after Maya's mother, gurgled happily in the front row. Who gives this woman to be married? The officiant asked. Her family does, Ryan said, kissing Maya's cheek before placing her hand in Marcus's. As Maya and Marcus exchanged vows, she thought about the journey that had brought her here. The humiliation, the discovery, the revenge, the justice, and finally, the peace. I promise to love you not for what you have, but for who you are, Marcus said, his voice strong and clear. I promise to support your dreams, honor your past, and build a future with you that's worthy of the incredible woman you've become. Maya's vows were simple but powerful. I promise to love you with the same courage that brought me through the darkest days of my life. I promise to be your partner, your equal, and your greatest supporter. When they kissed, the small crowd erupted in cheers. Sarah was crying. Ryan was crying. Even Catherine Mitchell, who'd been quietly rebuilding her life, was crying. At the reception, Maya's phone buzzed with congratulations from around the world. The Williams Mitchell Foundation had become a global movement, with offices in 12 countries and a waiting list of young women eager to join their leadership program. Any regrets? Marcus asked as they danced to their first song. About what? About how hard you fought to get here. About what you had to go through with Thomas. Maya looked around at the people celebrating with them. Her mother, radiant with joy. Ryan and Jasmine building a beautiful family. Catherine, who'd become an unexpected ally in the fight for justice. All the foundation employees who'd found their voices through Maya's story. No regrets, Maya said, pulling Marcus closer. Every battle was worth it. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, it all led me here. To me, to myself, to the woman I was always meant to be. Drop a ring if you're crying happy tears. And smash that subscribe button because Maya's final transformation will blow your mind. 5 years later, Maya stood in the boardroom of Williams Mitchell Industries, addressing the most powerful tech executives in the world. The company that had once been built on discrimination and fraud was now a beacon of equality and innovation. "Ladies and gentlemen," Maya announced, "I'm proud to report that Williams Mitchell Industries has just been named the most diverse and inclusive company in America for the third consecutive year." The room erupted in applause. The board of directors, 60% women and minorities, beamed with pride. This wasn't just a business achievement, it was a revolution. But we're not stopping there, Maya continued. "Today, I'm announcing the Global Justice Initiative, a $10 billion fund to fight discrimination and support abandoned families worldwide. The fund would operate in 50 countries, providing legal aid, business loans, and educational scholarships to anyone who'd been marginalized by systems of power." "My story began with a prenup designed to humiliate me," Maya said. "It will end with a legacy that empowers millions of others." In the audience, Ryan smiled proudly. He'd become one of the most respected CEOs in tech, leading with the same integrity his father had lacked. His company, Mitchell Williams Solutions, specialized in creating technology that promoted equality and justice. After the presentation, Maya returned to her office to find a surprise visitor. Dr. Rodriguez, the emergency room physician who'd hired her as a young nurse, was sitting in her waiting room. "I saw your speech on the news," he said, giving her a warm hug. "I had to come tell you how proud I am." "Dr. Rodriguez, you were the first person to see potential in me when I couldn't see it myself." "No, Maya, the potential was always there. You just needed the right circumstances to let it shine." That evening, Maya sat in her home office, reviewing applications for the Foundation's newest scholarship program. Each application told a story of struggle, resilience, and hope. Young people who reminded her of herself at their age. Her phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "Dinner's ready. Come downstairs when you're finished changing the world." Maya smiled, looking at the photo on her desk. It showed her, Marcus, and their twin daughters, Sarah and Rose, named after the two women who'd shaped her life. The girls were only 2 years old, but they already showed signs of the strength that ran in their bloodline. As Maya walked downstairs to join her family, she passed a framed prenup hanging in her hallway. She'd kept it as a reminder of how far she'd come, how much she'd grown, and how powerful she'd become. The document that had once made her feel worthless now served as proof that no contract, no matter how humiliating, could define her worth. "What's for dinner?" Maya asked, kissing her daughters and settling into her seat at the table. "Everything," Marcus said, gesturing to the feast before them. "We have everything." And for the first time in her life, Maya truly believed it. Have you ever felt underestimated? Share your story in the comments below. And if Maya's journey inspired you, make sure you're subscribed for more incredible stories of triumph over adversity. Remember, your worth isn't determined by the people who can't see it. It's determined by the strength you find within yourself to prove them wrong. Drop a gemstone if you're ready to rewrite your own story.